Hello, guess who I'm going to go and see tonight? Yes, Airport Convention at a place called the Oran Moor, which is an ex-church venue in the West End of Glasgow. And I've only ever been there once before, actually a long time ago, to see Roger McGuinn, or McGuinn, who you probably are aware of was the singer of The Byrds and the main vocalist of Hey Mr Tambourine Man. So quite looking forward to seeing Fairport tonight. Hopefully the bass player, Peggy, will be on the merchandise store again and I can get a wee chat with him like I've done like the last couple of times I've seen him, apart from obviously when I was in Croperty where there was thousands of people there, so I never chatted with him that day. And maybe I can try and just like a selfie with him, although he's always promised me to buy a pint, maybe I'll buy him a pint this time. Anyway, today I want to talk about a song called Alison by a British band called Slowdive. Probably most of you have never ever heard of this, and hopefully I'm going to change that and turn some of you on to Slowdive. Well, even if you just play this song. Right, okay, so my connection back to Slowdive goes about to 1991 when I heard an EP, bought the EP, loved the EP, bought the album and went to see them. And then I'll do that story another day, somehow managed to not buy the second and third albums, and then they broke up, like bands do. And then all of a sudden I heard, I don't know how it was, that Slowdive had reformed. They reformed, I think it was about 2017, something like that. And they were going to release their fourth album, just called Slowdive. And I just thought to myself, and they were going to do a tour. And I thought, wow, this is too good to be true. I hope the latest album is just as good as the first album. So I bought the last album, just called Slowdive, and it was actually better than the first album. And I just thought, wow, on the basis of this material, I need to go and see them live. So I booked tickets for both myself and my son, Benji, to go and see them at the ABC on Sauchiehall Street. Quick story about the ABC in Sauchiehall Street. The ABC used to be a cinema on Sauchiehall Street, really big cinema, a huge cinema, and it was that big that some naughty boys used to go down to the fire escape, open up the door and let their mates in, because it was just a maze down there. Trying to find the toilet, you'd get lost. And funny enough, it's the venue that I'm not too sure if they had different smaller cinemas or if it's just one big Docker cinema. I think it might have just been one big Docker cinema. But it was funny, it was the place that I went to see, bizarrely, Back to the Future, the very first one. And nobody had really heard of this film coming out, and what has happened was, what they used to do was, somehow they did this sort of promo that they invited people to come along with, I think, something that cuts out the paper. And it was free entry to go and see Back to the Future. And I went along with this wee thing. I think about 3 of us in my family went, well, my wife's family, not my family obviously, but they were my family. And we went in to see it, and we went down there. And before the film started, or maybe afterwards, they gave away a lot of fruit, which for a lot of Glaswegians was probably the first time they'd ever seen something called a banana. So anyway, so what? It's a bit of dodgy looking at banana. Well, I think it's well by itself by its date, a bit like myself. And yeah, that was just about all these Glaswegians kids going back. Anyway, there's this running joke that for some reason that salads and fruits that people, especially in Glasgow, don't know what they are. That's what the joke is. You often comedians crack it. But anyway, I don't think people in Glasgow agree with that. But anyway, it's a running joke. So basically, and then what happened was that everybody enjoyed the film, would then go back, tell their mates about it. And then, of course, then everybody would go and watch it. You've got to go and see this film, go Back to the Future. It's a brilliant film. Actually, it was a brilliant film. It is one of the best films ever made in that sort of family, great, exciting film. It was a great film, let's put it mildly. So then what happened was, of course, VHS came out and DVDs and How's Your Father, and as a result, cinemas all around Britain started to close down. They got turned into bingo halls, but the ABC in Sauchiehall Street got turned into a music venue, and it got split into 2 stages. One stage was slightly bigger, had a bigger capacity, and the other side, I think it's like Screen 1 or Screen 2, ABC 1 or ABC 2, and the other one, a smaller one, small capacity, which I went to see a couple of bands playing there actually. Funny enough, I went and performed on the stage. Yes, me and two other members are always away. Did actually perform on a sort of charity night one night there, and it got filmed. And I think I started off the night by saying "Hello Glastonbury." It got a couple of laughs. And then I proceeded to start playing the first song and realised that the knob on my bass was turned down, so I'm doing this and nothing's coming out. Quite hilarious, really. And it has been videoed, so and it was from 2010. So I'll stick the link up just in case you're interested. Funny enough, the last time I was in Sauchiehall Street, I was actually walking down it with Kim Silvio, who some of you might know or remember or obviously are aware of. So hello Kim if you're watching. And I retold the story about the ABC, about us playing there, and what's happened to it subsequently. In Slowdive performed there in 2017. Shortly afterwards, maybe the following year, right behind the ABC Cinema was the Glasgow School of Art. It's a building designed by Rennie McIntosh, and it was just being renovated actually. I think it suffered a fire beforehand. It was just getting renovated. It was near enough good to go, and bizarrely another fire broke out, completely devastated the building, and it was worse than the original fire. And parts of the debris fell on top of the roof of the ABC next door, and of course the roof collapsed. And I've seen pictures where you can do a drone. You should look up on Google, like pictures of the fire, and you can actually see the roof has caved in. You can actually see the old dance floor at the ABC one. So the ABC two, where we performed, I don't think was damaged. So the ABC one's a completely write-off. And if they do ever rebuild it as a venue, they need to do something about the urinals. For anybody watching this who knows what I'm talking about, bizarrely, for some strange reason, they put the urinal, the thing that a man tries to whip his tadger out to try and slash into, they put it a little bit too high for wee fellas like myself. I'm not on about wee as in the size of the size of knob. I just on about wee as in the fact that it really was too tall, and you had to stand on your tiptoes to get your knob over into the urinal to piss in it. Yeah, so if you're a hobbit, you were fucked. Yeah, well, I can just remember loads of times going in with a pint and we're all looking at each other thinking, how am I supposed to piss into this? I think it'd probably be easier to actually, the beer wasn't that good, you should have just pissed in your pint and then pulled that down in your urinal. So if they ever rebuild the O2, the ABC O2, Sauchiehall Street, sort out those urinals. Right, where was I? Oh, Slowdive. So anyway, what happened was because I was going to see, because of the Slowdive album in 2017 was an absolute belt, I thought I need to go and see them live. And I bought tickets for me and Benji, and I said to my son Benji, right Benji, you've got to really get into this album because I'm taking you to see them live, one of his early concerts. And we started playing the album, and he was going, I know this song. How possibly can you know this song? And of course, if you're a gamer, not a gamer, but a gamer, you'll know that if you play like games like FIFA and what have you, that they try to incorporate songs from artists and pay them a hell of a lot of money, even before they've charged to get released as songs, and they play them as intros and outros on their games. And he knew this song by Slowdive, I think it was called Star Roving. He says, I know this one, it's a great song. I was going, well, there you go. He already knows it, he already likes it. We're on a winner here. And so I used to play the album a lot. I played the album a lot when I walked our old dog. And then I thought, hold on a second, I only know 2 albums from Slowdive. What about the other 2 I didn't know? And I thought, right, I need to buy them just in case they do the material that night. And the other 2 albums, called Souvlaki, I think it's called Pygmalion, there it is. Here they are, Souvlaki and Pygmalion. The easiest way to buy them, because I still had the CD of this and the EP, was actually to buy this lovely little box set called Original Album Classics Slowdive, whereupon it was cheaper to then buy the 3 of them than buy these 2, which I didn't have, singly. So yes, here's another example of I commend this box set to everybody, because especially, really good album, more instrumental and long-winded to be honest with you, but hey ho. Another good album, not as good as Star Roving. However, the first track on this album there is Alison. And this came out in 1994. How I miss Alison, I don't really know. I'm embarrassed that I missed that song, because once I started playing their old albums, I quickly realised that Alison was the greatest Slowdive song of all time. It's my personal favourite. And of course, when we turned up for the concerts, and I was really into, definitely wanting to hear Alison. I was hoping against hope that they were going to return to it and play it, and they did. And it was one of these wonderful, magical, ethereal moments where music transcends the event, and me and the band connected, and me and the rest of the audience, and there's this wonderful thing where all of a sudden, you know, for those 3.5 minutes or 4 minutes or whatever, it's just like you go to a better place. And still, when I comes up on my iPod shuffle, all of a sudden it's like, oh my god. And I just do go back to that wonderful moment seeing Slowdive performing it. In fact, when like I said, the gap between seeing Slowdive the first time and Slowdive the second time, I think was a gap of seeing him live about 26 years, 1991, 2017, which yeah, it's a hell of a gap, and like I said, it is the longest gap that I've ever seen between band performances, 26 years. But don't blame me, blame Slowdive for breaking up for a couple of decades. But anyway, they're back together again. Hopefully there'll be a new album out, and if they play live again, I'll definitely go and see Slowdive, especially if they come back to Glasgow. But they won't be coming back to the O2 because it's still a shell. It's still a shell. Anyway, that's it. That's my commending Alison to you. I'm going to put a link in the description so you could watch the official video straight away. And it is a bit of a weird video. Yeah, it's like the lyrics themselves. And also, I'll put a little link in of Always the Way appearing on the other stage for those who may be interested in watching that. The three-piece Always the Way playing live. Yeah, so anyway, enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to Glasgow shortly, and hopefully this will be loaded up on my way up to Glasgow. Bye bye.